let's just dive right in. Today, we're looking at something honestly truly fascinating, a methodology that's designed to fundamentally transform how you absorb, process, and most importantly, recall complex information. We're unlocking the secrets of speed learning, straight from the Silva Mind Control method. So if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by mountains of data, or, frustrated when your memory fails you right when you need it most, well, you're absolutely going to want to pay close attention today. What if you could study less, but actually learn more? I know, it sounds a bit like a late-night infomercial promise, doesn't it? But really, pose this question to yourself for a second. Think about the intense pressure of a massive final exam, or maybe a high-stakes corporate presentation where you just have to deliver flawless facts and figures. What if the real solution to memory under pressure isn't just grinding harder and harder, but actually shifting the very state of your mind? To master this Silva method approach, we're going to unpack two specific, highly powerful techniques, the three fingers technique and the tape recorder method. But before we jump into the methods themselves, we've got to understand the foundation here. To master speed learning, you need to understand two distinct brain states. On one side, you've got the beta level. This is your outer waking consciousness. Basically, it's the state you're in right now with me, alert, active, interacting with the world. But on the other side is the alpha level. Now, this is a meditative state of deep inner concentration. The whole premise of the speed learning method completely relies on your ability to intentionally enter this meditative alpha level, create a mental screen, and then use it to implant and recall information way more effectively than you ever could in just your everyday beta state. Technique 1, the three fingers shortcut. Now, while this is the simpler of the two methods we're going to cover, it isn't necessarily the easiest one to master right out of the gate. But once you do master it, wow, it becomes an incredible on-the-go shortcut for instant recall. Basically, once you've trained yourself to instantly reach your meditative level and operate consciously in it, you literally just bring three fingers together while you're listening to a lecture or reading a dense book. Just doing this physical action vastly improves your concentration. It firmly implants that information into your mind. And get this, it acts as a trigger for instant recall later on, whether you're back in your standard beta state or sitting deeply in alpha. The source gives this amazing example. Imagine a student sitting in an exam room, totally stressed out. They press their three fingers together and literally almost see the textbook pages they read and almost hear their instructor's voice. It's a physical trigger for a deeply mental recall. Technique 2, the tape recorder method. So this technique is actually introduced a bit earlier in the mind control practice, mainly because it doesn't require that instant, on-the-fly alpha mastery we just talked about. Instead, it systematically combines the sheer effectiveness of learning in that deep alpha level with the reinforcement of traditional learning in beta. Let's walk through the exact four-step procedure the source lays out for tackling, say, a really complex textbook chapter. Okay, step 1, stay right in your outer waking consciousness, beta. Don't meditate yet. Just read the chapter aloud into a tape recorder. Step 2, now go to your meditative level, enter alpha. Step 3, hit playback. While you're in that deep state of concentration, you just listen to your own voice reciting the material. And finally, step 4, for added reinforcement, let a few days pass. Then read the material again in your waking beta state and play the tape back one more time while in alpha. By the end of this process, the source promises that information will be firmly yours. Now, here is a really cool pro tip from the source material. Let's say you're studying with a group of friends who are also learning these techniques. You might be tempted to save some time by dividing the labor, right? Like you record chapter 1, your friend records chapter 2, and then you just swap tapes. And the text says this works perfectly well, but it specifically notes there is a distinct, measurable advantage to listening to your own voice. Hearing the familiarity of your own voice guiding you while you're in that deep alpha state, that provides the absolute strongest possible mental reinforcement. But hey, practice isn't always perfect, right? So what if the act of pressing play actually wakes you up? This is a super common point of friction for beginners. You get yourself all perfectly relaxed into that alpha state, but then you have to blindly fumble with the clunky mechanical buttons on a recorder. That sudden physical movement, or even just the sharp sound of the tape starting, can accidentally snap you right back into beta. And by the time you manage to calm down and get back to alpha, you've missed half the lesson. Well, the source anticipates this exact problem and provides 3 highly practical troubleshooting tips to keep you seamlessly in alpha. First, simply go to your level with your finger already resting right there on the playback button. That way, no opening your eyes or fumbling around. Second, if you can, just have someone else press play for you when you give them a signal. Easy enough. And third, if you do accidentally flip back to outer consciousness, we'll just use that 3 fingers technique we discussed earlier to rapidly speed up your re-entry back into the alpha state. Now, there's a major misconception beginners have about how this state actually feels. The source specifically notes that being wide awake with full mental effectiveness while at alpha is a special feature of mind control. So if you feel awake while doing this tape recorder method, you might think, oh no, I failed, I slipped back into beta. Actually, scratch that. It's quite the opposite. The text empowers us by explaining this is an indication of real progress. As you get better at this, the alpha level starts to feel more and more like beta because you're learning to use it consciously. You might even be dropping into an even deeper level, like theta. The author actually notes they've seen graduates operating at these deep levels with their eyes wide open, completely awake, speaking clearly, answering questions, and even cracking jokes.
Section 3, Real-World Superlearners. So you might be wondering, does anyone actually use this stuff in the real world? The answer is a massive yes. The source gives some pretty compelling anecdotes of professionals in incredibly high-stakes, demanding environments who rely on these methods every single day. First up, we have a Canadian life insurance agent. Picture this. He's sitting with a client trying to navigate incredibly complex estate and tax problems. Previously, this guy would exasperate his clients by nervously riffling through stacks of papers in his briefcase, just desperately trying to find the exact right answer. But now, the tremendous array of facts he needs are instantly on the tip of his tongue. He accesses this massive mental database entirely thanks to speed learning and his 3 fingers. Or consider this really fascinating example, a trial lawyer in Detroit, summing up a complex case to a jury that requires immense precision. So this lawyer uses the tape recorder method. He records his summation, listens to it in alpha the night before, and then again early the next morning. And the result is wild. He's completely liberated from his notes. He stands confidently in front of the jurors, maintaining reassuring, direct eye contact, which obviously makes him vastly more persuasive. And the absolute best part, as he speaks, literally no one in the courtroom even notices what he's secretly doing with the 3 fingers of his left hand to trigger his recall. And it's definitely not just for academics and law. Take a New York nightclub comedian, for example. This guy has to change his routine every single day to comment on the daily news. Just 1 hour before showtime, he listens to a tape of himself while in alpha. From that single hour of prep, he delivers 20 minutes of highly spontaneous, flawless humor. As he puts it, and I love this quote, "I used to cross my fingers, hoping for the best. Now I join 3 fingers, and I know what's going to happen, lots of laughs." So the crucial takeaway here is that these aren't just isolated, quirky examples. Speed learning and the 3 fingers technique are explicitly ideal for students. Because of this, the source highlights the sheer, staggering scale of adoption. At the time of the text, these mind control techniques were already being taught in 48 educational institutions. To break that down, that's 24 colleges and universities, 16 high schools, and 8 grade schools. We are talking about thousands of students actively using these exact methods to literally study less and learn more. We've explored the difference between beta and alpha states. We've walked through the precise 4 steps of the tape recorder method. And we've seen the seemingly magical on-demand recall triggered by the 3-finger shortcut, used by lawyers, comedians, and students alike. The architecture of your memory is just far more flexible than you probably ever believed. So I'll leave you with this one question. What will you learn next with your 3 fingers? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this newfound mental toolkit sparks your curiosity to explore just how much your mind can truly hold.